Man United fell to a chaotic 3-2 home defeat to Nottingham Forest. Let's look into where it went wrong and what this might mean for the rest of the season. There are literally so many places I could go with this, but I'm going to go with a sort of familiar theme kind of being repeated once again, and it's how we start our halves. Once again, we begin the first half not really sharp, not really alert, and we go a goal down from a set piece. Side note to that, whoever is organising set pieces, I think we need to mix up who is man mark and who is defending the zone more, because if they've got a particularly tall man, maybe it would be a good idea to man mark him with someone like Delict or Euro, i.e. someone who can at least physically body him up in a way that he's not just going to run across and head and get a free header on the edge of the 6-yard box. But overall, it's just sloppy start, and we came back into it well, actually. We got level in the game, and I think at half-time, I had some hope that we could actually pick things up. But there we go again, start the second half. Bruno gives the ball away. I think Lenny Yoro mistimes that run. I think he needs to delay that a little bit more, because by the time Bruno's passed it, he could never receive it. And then as it comes across, some of the most bizarre goalkeeping you'll ever see. I mean, Onana letting that in. You can see this is the thing that he does, and I noticed this against Arsenal in the week as well. Saka had a shot, and it was quite a nice shot, low down to the keeper's left, and Onana made it look easy. Because he hints and guesses at where it's going, and you saw there a shot that had a 3% chance of going in, went in because he went to the right, the ball went to the left, and even though this was all happening in the middle of the goal, still, we end up conceding 2-1. Not long after 3-1, another old habit dying hard, conceding in bunches. And we are then 3-1 down at home to Nottingham Forest, when we've played relatively well, but just not capitalised on what we have been doing right. It's just so frustrating. And I think there's definitely a personnel issue. I think we know that. I think also that players have to get used to this. But most of all, I think the big thing is, if you can't score, don't concede. And that third goal was a killer. I mean, why someone doesn't save it, catch the cross, or clear the header, or, not get beaten at the back post like Euro did. So many things went wrong, and then it was just too much of a hill to climb. We're finding it hard to eradicate our past habits, and if we don't do that soon, it's going to be a very long season for us. This game caused a serious outpouring of anger from a lot of fans that I was seeing online. And a lot of people seem to have reached their limit with some of the players that we're seeing here. Just so fed up with the same things going wrong. And I've actually dismissed a lot of players as being totally unsuited to this system or this level of football. I think that in the front line, there is a point there. I think a lot of these players would need to be replaced if you're seriously looking at building an attack that can score enough goals to sustain a decent league season and some cup runs. I mean, the chances of those players growing into something better is fairly unlikely. But I do actually feel through the rest of the team, we've got a lot of players in place already who could be effective in this system. In the same way the manager needs time to get this right, the players need time to actually get used to it as well. When we say the manager can't have enough time on the training ground with them, it also means the players are not having enough time on the training ground with it as well, and hence they're not going to be that good at consistently playing in this way to maybe always get success. I see some shades of Liverpool, to be honest, when Klopp took over, and what you can always see is that the players were doing what he wanted them to do, but they either weren't good enough or weren't consistent enough at doing it. And it only really changed once he started to make changes in the squad fundamentally. And that is when you saw some progress. Sadly for me, I do feel like Lisandro Martinez might be a victim of this, who I think is a very good centre-back. But is he a left centre-back in a 3? I'm not so sure. Is he a bit sort of front foot, too rash jumping in? I look at someone like Bruno Fernandes. Is he controlled enough? Is he going to mix up his play enough to connect lines as well? Not just go straight for it all the time. Again, another question mark. And actually, some of the popular players are the ones who may be victims of this. But I think the underlying point here is that we need to be patient as a fan base. if the fan base is going to have a meltdown, the pressure's going to mount. I could actually see Ruben Amorim potentially going at the end of the season, if not before, if the run of results gets particularly bad. And I think that would be a massive shame because he is clearly a very, very good coach. I would urge everyone to, yes, feel frustrated, but also accept that this is part and parcel of bringing a new manager in, a new formation. And if you want to see where this goes, I said the same thing with Ten Hag. I'll say the same thing with any other manager who may come in later on. You've got to give it more than a few weeks. And I think we need a bit of grace here. And I also think maybe Ruben Amorim has to consider whether this formation is actually going to help these players play well enough to have confidence in him, because he can't get rid of them all at the end of the season. So much to sort of take from that, and all of it pretty much bad. We're playing Victoria Pilsen away. That has draw written all over it, but hopefully we can get a win before the Manchester derby. But yeah, a tough one to take. There's going to be more of those, I think, as we move forward. But let's keep the support there. Let's understand where we are, and let's not, as a fan base, have a meltdown, because if we do, we might be doing the same thing again in 2 years' time. Don't let it happen again. Catch you guys in the next one.